Our bodies have a lot to tell us, and sometimes that message is pretty loud and difficult to ignore, like bloat or pain, or sometimes it's more subtle, like dry eyes or dry skin, which could indicate that maybe you need to drink more water or you need additional omega-3s, especially the EPA. And so when it comes to bloat, and if we're burdened by that, it can be pretty loud and uncomfortable. So some things I think about when we're looking to eliminate or significantly reduce our bloating is, one, we want to keep in mind, what are we doing around our eating times? How is our eating speed? Are we chewing thoroughly? Are we in a relaxed state of mind so that we're promoting that parasympathetic nervous system or that rest and digest state of mind so that your body is actually able to break down the food that you are consuming? Same thing goes where if you're eating really fast, now you're very likely not chewing thoroughly. So you're swallowing these bigger chunks of food, putting additional stress on your digestive system, and that can certainly lead to symptoms of bloat, gas, discomfort, constipation, diarrhea. It just kind of depends on the individual. So those are definitely things to think about. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is how much fluid are you consuming shortly before, during, and after your meals. So ideally, and even snacks, if you are consuming them, I recommend no more than 8 ounces of fluid, 15 minutes before, during, and after. So kind of keeping that window. So, when I speak to a lot of individuals, they'll say that they don't drink much with their meal or shortly before, but then they'll chug a glass of water right after. So be mindful of that 15-minute window following the eating time as well, so that you aren't diluting those digestive enzymes. Another thing that you definitely want to keep in mind is maybe starting a journal or even just in your phone, on your notepad. If you're recognizing that you're waking up feeling bloated or you're consistently feeling bloated at a certain time of day, or maybe it's just totally random, make note of what you ate leading up to the bloating symptoms. And sometimes they might present 15, 20 minutes after a meal or even 5 minutes after a meal. Other times it might be hours. So it's going to be a little tricky and kind of like this scavenger hunt that you're trying to find the pieces to solve the problem. But that can be really helpful to see any correlations. And then if you're noticing that it's a couple hours after, you might also make an indication of how did you feel when you were eating? Were you stressed? Were you on the go? Were you, in a rush? Were you laughing and having a good time and not really paying attention to what you were eating? Just kind of making note of that. And then you also want to pay attention to just kind of what the food combinations are. And so if you're eating a lot of raw vegetables or raw produce, that can absolutely add additional stress to your digestive system, where it has to break it down a little bit more than cooked vegetables or something that would be mixed into a smoothie that's already pre-broken down. Easier for your body to break down and digest and absorb those nutrients. So paying attention to those factors, and then also, just having a little bit of a journal or a note to see if there are any patterns or connections that you can kind of pinpoint. And if you want to check out my gut health checklist, that can be for additional ideas. And then I will continue to put out more videos with additional tips, because gut health is super important. And now, rather than saying our gut is our second brain, researchers are starting to say that our gut is our first brain. So it definitely tells us a lot about our overall health, and we want to make sure that we are doing all that we can to nourish and support it. So hopefully those tips will be helpful, and you can say bye to the bloat. Bye, bloat.